Hi, welcome to Rolling Out Health IQ. I'm your host, Kimberly Amara, and today we will be speaking with two gentlemen about health related issues and about an upcoming event that they're going to be having that's going to be coming up actually this Saturday. So welcome, Dr. McGee and Mr. Walton. How are you guys doing today?
Great. How are you? Doing great.
I'm doing well. I know you guys have this event every year, and so I kind of wanted to just go ahead and get started with you, Mr. Walton. Tell me about the 2021 Virtual Health and Wellness Expo that you guys are having.
Sure. This is our fourth Health and Wellness Expo, and unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do it in person, but we're going to do it virtually. And this is the second year we've done this.
A pre-record, what you mean?
And really, got thrown off for a second there. We have been doing live events up until last year in the pandemic. We didn't feel comfortable enough to do it this year, so we're back in the virtual format. But I think that the most important thing we'll be able to do is get out the information that we need to our various audiences, families, Black men, youth, etc. So.
Okay, so first off, let me go ahead and let me actually roll this back because I didn't give you a proper introduction, Mr. Walton. So first off, I do want to let people know actually that you are the executive director of the 100 Black Men of Chicago. And this has been going on since you've been in this role since January of this year, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and so you are a native of Chicago?
That's correct.
Representing the South Side, of course, and you matriculated through Chicago Public Schools, correct?
That's right.
Okay, and so I'm just again going through your bio because people need to know how awesome you are. After your leadership positions in corporate technology departments such as W.W. Granger, Covia Partnership, you went on into general management and you have a consulting firm. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and so what are your goals with 100 Black Men of Chicago?
Well, I was attracted to the 100 because I've got a pretty long history. I go back to the early 90s with being aware of the 100. My start with them was back in Washington, D.C. And then when I moved to London, England, I became aware of the group over there. And then when I came back here, I knew quite a few of the brothers that were members of the 100 Black Men of Chicago. And if ever there was an organization that exemplified leadership in the Black community, I think the 100 does a great job of identifying talent and influencers within our community. My challenge in coming on board as the executive director was to help us move the needle as far as expanding our education, our mentoring, our health and wellness, and our public policy, as well as our economic empowerment programs. Okay. So that's my challenge. I've been real blessed to be coming into an organization that's had this long-standing tradition of excellence for the past 25, 26 years. And just look forward to continuing and growing the wealth of knowledge, growing the wealth of influence in our programming.
Okay. All right. And so with you then, I do want to ask you, because again, going back to the health fair, Dr. McGee, I know that you're like a committee chair with the 100 Black Men of America.
So, Kimberly, first, I'm actually a member of the Health and Wellness Committee. I served as the COVID chair.
COVID chair, okay.
But in addition to that, I'm the national chair for all the 100 Black Men of America. They created a violence prevention committee that I'm the chair for that. So I'm the national chair for all the 100 Black Men of America.
Okay.
But my day job is I'm an ER doc, and I just got off work. That's why I'm still in gear. I just rushed home to make it to your wonderful show. So yeah, and then just to add one other thing, I'm also the CEO of the first all Black owned urgent care in Hyde Park, Chicago. It's called Premier Urgent Care.
Well, and I was just about to get to your bio, so I'm looking at it, and it is extensive. Very. You're a full partner with Vituity Emergency Medicine in Gary and what is this, Merrillville, Indiana. You are the president and CEO of Premier Urgent Care and Occupational Center in Chicago Hyde Park. You graduated from Purdue with your bachelor's in science of what is this, biology and psychology. Okay, you got a master's in public health in epidemiology and biostatistics from the University of Illinois in Chicago. Oh my gosh. Okay, you got medical doctorate from Rush Medical. I mean, you just, so okay, let me ask you then, especially specifically as we are in this particular era, you know, even though we've got the vaccine that's rolled out, it's still not really behind us, especially for our Black communities and specifically for younger Black people. So what would you guys say, especially you, Dr. McGee, in regards to young people who are on the fence about getting vaccinated?
I'll let Charles go first. If you want to make a comment, then I'll follow up after that.
Sure. You know, I usually always yield to the good doctor when it comes to specific questions about medical issues. And I don't play one on TV, so I'm just going to have to give my my slice of it. You know, really, one of the biggest challenges we have is that we haven't paid enough into understanding the importance of preventative care. All right. We can't expect to be all that we can be if we can't be all that we can be for ourselves. Okay, first and foremost. So when we start talking about COVID-19 and the impact that it's had on our community, we have to look at all the underlying issues that we bring to the table. We're amongst the highest in heart disease and high blood pressure and diabetes. Those things mixed with COVID could be an easy ticket out. And let's face it, you're no good if you're on your back, and you're especially no good if you're not here to lead your family or stand up and be a voice in your community. So Doc, you take it away. You see it every day.
Look, that was perfect, man. Totally. Trust me. So yeah, so everything you says is right. You know, for when you look at Black and brown communities, we've always had disparities. We've always had to overcome all kinds of challenges. And as you already know, healthcare, you know, all the way from hypertension and diabetes to cancer, to prostate cancer, to colon cancer, to everything. So by definition, those particular diseases are the major diseases that affect adults. From the youth perspective, their biggest disease is violence. And so now you throw in COVID, and now at one point, youth risk for getting COVID was about 3%. In March of this year, it went up, actually January, February, went up to about 22%. And then now we went out, we was out of school, we went back to school, and now the numbers went up exponentially because kids are all in school gathering. Some kids had masks, some kids didn't. And so that risk went up to about 33 to 40%. Okay. And so we've been at an incline because now kids are back in school and back together, and not all school practice safe COVID precautions. And so initially, when we first found out about COVID, we thought that Black people couldn't get it. There was a myth out there that, oh, Black people can't get this. We have immunity to it. Well, don't ever believe that Black people can't get anything, because we already know that we have the biggest risk factors in terms of everything, just in terms of, you know, social determinants of health. We're at the highest risk for any and everything. So we deserve all the resources out there. And so we found out through data that Black people got it and got it more than others. And we didn't think that the kids could get it, but we found out that kids have been getting it. My worst case was a mother who came into my ER after she had been diagnosed. A week and a half later, she came in and because she was still short of breath. And I did a workup on her. And while she's telling me, she said, "Doc, I'm very sad. And I just want to tell you, I had COVID 2 weeks ago. A week later, my 14-year-old son caught it. We didn't know he had it. And he collapsed in front of me. And he went into cardiac arrest, came to my hospital, and died. And that Wednesday, which was 3 days before she came to me, she got the autopsy report back saying that her son died from COVID pneumonia, because we all thought that kids couldn't be affected. Well, it is a smaller number for kids, but what if it's your kid that dies from it?
Yeah.
And so it's like rolling the dice. We don't know who's going to have the most effects of it and the ill effects of it. And that's why we encourage everybody to do what they need to do to get vaccinated, because it's Russian roulette. You don't know if you're going to be the person who's going to end up going to the hospital, getting intubated by us, and subsequently dying. And so we got to do what's best for us. And we can't go by the Tuskegee study, which was done about 50 years ago. And at that time, things were immoral. They didn't have practices in place to protect people. All those days are over. Right. You know, this vaccine that was created, even though we heard about, you know, warp speed, the COVID vaccine had been there during the first SARS. When Obama was in office, they discovered mRNA at that time. It's just that when COVID came back again, they had to restructure it to make it more effective. So it's been here. It wasn't a 1-year vaccination that's been created. It's been out there. And so it's safe. And there's a whole bunch of myths rolling around on the internet, and people are spreading a bunch of anti-vaccine, scares, and it's making us all die. And each and every one of us knows somebody in our family or somebody who's a friend who's died from COVID. So there should not be any hesitancy at all.
Okay, so thank you for that, Dr. McGee. I do actually want to ask you, because Mr. Walton, you actually kind of touched on something, and this is gonna be like a two-parter, because I know that preventative is kind of, you know, a difficult thing, especially in our community, to address. And so I also want to kind of touch on like pre-existing conditions, right? And so I know that pregnancy can be considered, quote unquote, a pre-existing condition. And so I know a lot of moms and pregnant women, they're, you know, afraid to get vaccinated, especially when they're considering their unborn child. And so I would ask first, what would you say to those women, those, you know, mothers to be, to get them to get vaccinated? And then more so when you're talking about preventative issues and pre-existing conditions, just as far as the health initiative with the Expo and everything, how are you guys continuing to utilize the platform to kind of mitigate that gap, to get more individuals in the Black community to just take care of other issues like diabetes, congestive heart failure, and stuff like that, that tends to be prevalent in our communities? Well,
Doc, I'm gonna start this and you can jump right in. One of the most important things that we're doing, whether we're doing face-to-face health expos or we're doing it virtually, is getting the information out where people can use it. There's no excuse for not taking interest in your own well-being. And if somebody is going to step to the fore and make information available to you, we have got to take advantage of that situation each and every time. If there's no reason not to know, because we are going to touch on the topics, the hot topics of the day. We're going to bring in experts that will guide us through the information. We're going to give you a pathway to knowledge, and then we're going to forearm you and forewarn you as to what you can do to mitigate these situations in our lives as well as our communities. Doc, take it away.
So, I mean, we already know that there's a lack of trust in the Black communities, and it's not their fault. Right. You know, there are not a bunch of Black doctors out here. Yeah. So we get a lot of our information from white people who we may not necessarily trust. And so 100 Black men, which are all over the country, we bring the trust. We hear Black men telling you you should get your vaccination. We hear telling you should get your colon screening. You should get your breast mammograms. And so we're trying to lead by example and hope that the faith in us will make people want to go and do the right thing. And in terms of getting diseases, I'm the prime example as to why you want to do preventative care. You don't want to wait to come to the ER when you're already bleeding from your rectum. And now I already know that you got colon cancer because you've already lost 10 pounds. Why get to that point where now can't do anything but get chemo, radiation, and still may die? Why get to that point? Go to your doctor, go get your screenings, you know, do your prostate exam, do your colon exam, do your self breast exam. There are a lot of things that we can easily do that we don't because we're scared that, you know, something's going to give us bad news at the doctor's office. Well, best believe when you come to me in the ER after you waited, when now it's an emergency, I'm really going to be giving you bad news. So don't get to that point. Find a doctor, go to a federally qualified healthcare center and do what you need to do. They're free. If you don't have a job, you don't have insurance, the government gives them money to help offset whatever costs you have. So there's ways you can do it. And 100 Black Men is trying to show this on our expo on November 13th from 9 to 1 o'clock. We got something from everybody, just from things like diabetes prevention, things like hypertension, COVID, colon, any and everything. And for kids, as I said before, the number one health scare for kids is being beat up or shot or bullied. And so we're going to be talking about violence prevention. We're going to have 2 young men who were mentees with the 100 Black who got shot in junior high school and as a freshman in high school, who someone held the bleed, put pressure on their wound, and they survived. And now they're being very successful. They're going to college. They're going to really good careers. They're going to be given a testimony. We're going to have Mary McGee, who's the past IBF welterweight female boxer who is going to come on. She's from Gary, Indiana. She's going to talk about the hardship she overcame to become a boxer. Because right now, all the fights we're seeing in schools are from girls. Girls are getting in it. They're getting at it. We just want to let everybody know we got to show some love and some respect for each other and try to prevent the senseless fighting from escalating to people being shot. And also, we're going to have Congresswoman Robin Kelly, who is on Joe Biden's Unity Task Force for Health, who's also the chair of the Illinois Democratic Party, who's going to be our keynote speaker. Congressman Danny Davis is going to come on and talk about violence. He lost his grandson over some gym shoes after someone killed his grandson, who he knew. And so we got a whole lot for everyone. We're going to talk about mental health. We got psychologists coming from University of Illinois. So we got a lot for everybody. So we're going to touch upon racism. And of course, we're going to talk about COVID and vaccinations in the youth. So we got enough for everyone. So please join us.
Okay. And so Dr. McGee, what would you suggest for managing travel? So like, how would you advise, or what would you say as far as how do we manage travel for people who are vaccinated and for those who are not, because that can kind of be a little gray, if you will.
I mean, for those of you who are not vaccinated who's trying to travel, it's going to be very hard. Expect to spend some dollars because you got to really show that you're negative about maybe 48 hours before you get on the plane, going and coming. And don't try to go international because it's even more harder to get. And so people that are vaccinated, they feel safe because they've been vaccinated. They get to fly, they get to show their little card. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like the have and the have-nots. If you don't have your card, you're going to go through scrutiny. You can't go to New York and go even into a restaurant without showing a card. And I don't care if you've had a test, you actually got to show that you've been vaccinated, or they don't even let you into New York restaurants or certain places. I went to the Las Vegas Bears Las Vegas versus Bears game, and everybody who went to the stadium had to show their card and had to show that they've been vaccinated at least once. So it's just going to be the way of our life. And it should be, right? We've had over 751,000 people die. 751,000 people today have died from a virus. That should never be happening in 2021. But here we are, and it's not over. And one final point, the more that people who don't get vaccinated, the more it mutates in your body and it becomes a different product. So those of you who had COVID in 2020, this ain't the same COVID, son. You had the Alpha, now it's Delta. And so whatever you think immunity you had then is way gone. That's why it's being stressed to get your vaccine. And even now we got the Delta Plus brewing. Okay. And so this is going to be the way of life. Yeah. Oh, okay. In Europe is now Delta Plus because Europe has had another increase in COVID surges. And Europe always gets it before we do. So we got to do the right thing over the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas. Even though you're going to be with your family, get your test before you go to your grandmother's house. Don't make your grandmother get sick and die. Even though she's vaccinated, she still can get it. There are breakthrough COVID reactions that are still out there. So do what you need to do to protect your parents and your loved ones if you don't even want to protect yourself.
Okay, so I do have one more question for you, Dr. McGee, before we get to how people can, register for the Expo. Specifically in regards to the fact that does seem like COVID is not going to go anywhere anytime soon. It's going to continue to mutate because I mean, I wasn't aware that there was a Delta plus. So that's a good information to just kind of put out there. People can be aware. But as far as getting boosters, because I actually got a booster myself, how will it be something that we'll see kind of like the flu? I mean, I know they've kind of talked about it, but is it something that we should expect, you know, just to become a part of normal everyday life to just get a COVID booster?
So yes,
Okay.
it already is a way of life. We in year 2. We thought that Donald Trump thought that after 3 months we'd have a hold of it, and it's steadily escalated because we all didn't take it seriously. And here we are in year 2, going into year 3 of it almost. And so it's there, and we're going to get a handle on it. But at some point, it's probably going to be a disease, a chronic disease, meaning just like the flu is going to be there. Every year, we're probably going to have to get another booster, and that's where we are. And unlike the flu, it's deadly. We've all had somebody die from it. We all haven't had someone die from the flu. It's very rare to have someone die from the flu. Usually, if you're extremely ill, if you're older and got a bunch of medical problems, that could happen. But with this, it's attacking any and everyone randomly, and that's the scary part about it.
Okay. And just one more question, actually. What do you say to those individuals who are vaccinated? I mean, because I understand that, you know, the vaccine is really just to mitigate, you know, getting like, you know, COVID pneumonia and having to be hospitalized. But what do you say to those individuals who, you know, get it and then maybe they were vaccinated and then they still end up having to be hospitalized?
Very rare.
Okay.
Look, I'm in the ER, and everybody that I've seen over the past 2 months, out of all the people, most of them were unvaccinated. And they're white, they're Black, they're couples, they're people who've been married. I've had couples coming from Florida who now get home and now they get the whole family infected. The people who were vaccinated who comes in, a lot of times when I do an x-ray, I'm looking for pneumonia. If I don't see it, if their vital signs are good, I send them home. Mm-hmm. Most breakthrough COVID diseases are very rare and you don't die. Colin Powell had, you know, an immunological problem where he had no immune system. Multiple myeloma is something that kills most people. The fact that he lived that long was actually really good. Yeah. Then he had Parkinson's. And so people took that, and I knew it was going to happen when I saw he died. And my heart went out because I said, people are going to make an issue out of this, and they're going to be trying to prevent people from getting the vaccine. And sure enough, within 24 hours, all the wrong information was out there. You know, some people are going to get it because they have underlying conditions that we don't even know about. Now, think about what COVID causes. It's a disease of the blood vessels, right? So it gets into your lung and it destroys your lung from within. We've had kids that have to get lung transfusions because lung transplants, because it was so much horrible how much it did to their lungs. But it also can cause blood clots. It causes way more myocarditis, which is inflammation of the heart, than any adverse effect of the COVID. And the myocarditis they get can actually cause you to have death. We've had people coming in cardiac arrest who we didn't even know why they died. And autopsy reports show that they had myocarditis from COVID. We've had people who were 30 years old getting strokes because it affects the blood vessels. We've had people getting clots in their lungs from their legs that go to their lungs because it affects the blood vessels. And what about the after effects? For people who've had COVID, they get long-term effects. That's who I see now coming to the ER. People that still having problems with breathing, they having problem with fatigue. They may have kidney failure now. They may have diabetes now. They may have mental health issues. They have insomnia. They have anxiety. It's horrible. And you tell them, hey, this is probably COVID, and they still nervous and don't believe you. But it's something that you don't want to have, and you need to do whatever you can to prevent it. And we have an option, so we should do it.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you for that eye opener. And yes, definitely, we need to definitely have as many people as possible, especially because it's virtual this year, even though I know it would always be better in person, but you know, this does give more people, I think, an opportunity to attend. So Mr. Walton, please tell us, how can we in our audience register for the Expo?
You can go to our website, which is 100BMC for Black Men of Chicago.org. That's 100BMC.org. scroll down to up and coming events, and you'll see our Facebook page that has the most recent flyer on the event. If you click on the link, or you click on the picture right next to it, it'll take you right to the registration page. Understand that it's free. All you need is 25 seconds to go to that website, click on that form, fill out some basic information, and then we'll look to see you on November 13th, which is a Saturday, from 9 to 1 p.m. Okay, that's November 13th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And it's just as simple as click and go. Okay.
And we even got a DJ for the kids, for the youth that come out when they get done with the violence prevention workshop. We got DJ DJ Ty Fly, who actually was the Milwaukee Bucks DJ for the finals, and he's from Chicago. And then we're going to have a health-related topics for youth who want to go into careers in medicine. So we got all kinds of stuff for the youth.
I love that. Okay, well, I definitely will make sure that I sign up myself, especially, I mean, I'm not in Chicago, but I will definitely be attending. And I have a 15-year-old that will attend as well. So I thank you, gentlemen, for joining us here on Rolling Out Health IQ. We will definitely make sure that our audience gets this information and they get signed up as well. And yeah, thank you guys from 100 Black Men of Chicago for coming and sharing all of this wonderful information with us. I will see you guys later.
Thanks, Kimberly. Appreciate you.
Thanks a lot. Take care.
Bye-bye.